Hi guys, welcome back to another P3D version 5 video. We are today flying the Manfred Jahn Blackburn Beverly, which yeah, a bit of an an odd choice. As you can see, it's a huge looking thing, even more whale than the Strata Cruiser by E2A or the military Strata Freighter variant by Manfred Jahn. And we are today flying a pretty short hop, so we're gonna fly from Wunstorf, Germany, West Germany, I guess back in the day, to not Tegel, sorry, Tempelhof in Berlin. So a very short hop. And my thinking was originally to do some sort of Berlin airlift inspiring YouTube flight, but then I did find a few kind of example. Let me show you. I have this little folder with fun flying ideas, but you can see kind of how the airlift works. This is the kind of information I found. I was just quickly looking at it when I had a bit of a pause in my work day, and I guess they kind of came in from these, the north and the south one, and the central one was for the outbound flights from Tegel or Tempelhof. And I even found like a standard operating procedure. We're not gonna follow these, but you know, kind of interesting seeing here the south one, right? So you came in, I guess some sort of beacon, and you would get into a queue, try to land, and if you missed, and if I'm not mistaken, then you would go out the central route, and then you would have to come in again in a worst case scenario, because basically because of the queues you couldn't do kind of a go around and then just come in and land again. So very interesting kind of or a whole kind of the procedures, the operations. Hopefully at some point I'll find some more information and then we'll do one of that. Even though I guess with this information you could do it, right? Just find full down the map, start from one of the airports, Wiesbaden maybe. But I haven't downloaded those military airports. But maybe Orbex, maybe some of them are still in use, so could be an option. I tried actually to download for the airport that we're at now, Wunstorf. I tried to download a freeware package, and everything seemed good. I was doing my flight yesterday, but I got terrain DLL, so basically CTD sold all the time, and when I removed the package it worked. Very strange, and it only seemed to happen during the change from dusk, or around the change from like kind of dusk to night. So I guess there's something with the textures there stopping it. So that's why we're flying with a pretty good looking, I think, Orbex North Germany airport. So it's included in the package. It's a military one though, so I'm not sure why we have a Flybe here. But yeah, you know, good enough. So I wasn't too sad of having to uninstall. It's very rare that you would have to completely uninstall an airport, even if it's FSX. But you know, some of them have just things that don't really work. I think I have the same problem with Kuwait. I've been able to fly from there, but that one has some issue. I can basically not load into that airport without some sort of hassle. So I'm thinking of actually removing it and replacing it with a more or I guess there's a better alternative freeware wise, but a payware alternative at some point. But let's see. I don't like paying for some of these airports that you don't fly to that often, unless they have some really good developers and a great sale, for example. And talking about sales, if you're still flying P3D, I think it's now time for you to go and purchase the Mad Dog, because I think this is the final sale of it for P3D. It's here on Sim Market, for example. I don't think they sell it anywhere else. But yeah, it's gonna be pulled, I think, shortly, because they're ending support and sales of the P3D version. So that's something to to keep in mind. They have a bunch of other sales now as well, Black Friday, right? So highly recommended to, if you're gonna buy something, buy it now, right? When it's a bit cheaper. Stock up on them now and then, you know, hold tight to your purse the rest of the year. But okay, back to the sim. Let's talking about the Berlin airlift and sales. The Manfred Jahn Blackburn Beverly is a bit of, I guess, an odd bird. He's done a couple of different aircraft. I guess Stratofreighter, the really good, the DC-3 or the C-47. I think the P-50 as well. The DC-3 and the C-47 is in a league of its own. And after that one, I liked the Blackburn Beverly the most. Potentially the Stratofreighter is pretty good, but since I have the A2A1, I don't see any reason to use the Manfred Jahn one. I mean, I would just get a military livery for the A2A1 if I wanted to do some military immersive ops. But this one is a pretty good bird. Only thing I've changed is added PBR, and it's also an interesting bird in the sense that only 49 were ever built, so it's quite like specific if you decide to develop this aircraft. Like why exactly this one? But maybe it was interesting. I mean, it does look a bit different than the normal aircraft, right? With the huge fuselage. I mean, crosswinds was me interesting in this one. I also managed to open the door. You have another door on the left side of the fuselage. We can walk a bit closer, I think. And let me just, because I need to have the... Oh, sorry, that's the Wikipedia page for Blackburn Beverly. I need to have that open as well, so I make sure I'm not saying something dumb. Let me just check the chase plane one. We just need to do all this little fixes to make sure it works. But yeah, and according to Wikipedia, some interesting facts from Wikipedia one. Can't of course say if they're true or not, but they seem to be. Is that this is the only land-based transport airplane built by Blackburn. They only produce naval fighter aircrafts, actually. And Blackburn aircraft went obsolete or defunct in 1960, right? So they didn't have a long, or they had a pretty long 1940 to 1960. So they were building for quite a while until they went bankrupt. And I think a lot of British manufacturers went bankrupt around that time. It was just becoming more expensive, and there were higher requirements, right? The manufacturing process became much more complicated or complex. In terms of the Beverly, built between 1950 and 1958, I think the Royal Air Force was the primary users. I couldn't find anything else indicating that anyone else used it. And I think they were used from 1955, so of course after the Berlin airlift, so this aircraft wouldn't have been one of those that would have flown in there, but it would have certainly helped if it was available back then. But yeah, from 1955 till 1967, so a very short operational history. And I don't think, I tried to check if one of them were sold but nothing. 9 aircraft were lost in service with the RAF, and then 2 were written off after being damaged by explosive devices, landmine, bomb, and there's only 1 aircraft that's still alive, which is the other livery, I think, that's available for this aircraft, the Desert Camo one. But yeah, you can see it's a very interesting looking aircraft, and I think they have recreated kind of faithfully by, at least in terms of the exterior. And I added PBR, right, so it does look a bit better, a bit more gloss, and you get the reactions a bit with the weather. It looks like we have a big overcast and some fog. Hopefully nothing too bad though, but let's see. You can also see into the fuselage, but it's kind of dark. Maybe you can put on a light to see better. And then you can also open this door. But yeah, generally speaking, a pretty damn good freeware exterior model. Usually, of course, the exterior model on the freeware will be better than the interior one, so I'm not super surprised. But yeah, it could be worse. And let me just close all of these doors, we don't need them open. Since we're not going to use GSX or anything, we're not even going to use Prepar3d today, or mainly because Tempelhof isn't, or I guess you could do a fight plan and load it into Prepar3d technically, but maybe the database might not allow that, right? Since I'm using a newer one and Tempelhof closed in 08. So yeah, very old, or old airport, but also like it's been closed for a while. And in terms of the flight, I actually, when I did this yesterday, I did write it all up, but then I took a picture of it to try and do it today. And wait, I'll need to pause quickly. Okay, let's continue. Just the wife calling for some aid. And let me see, that's the wipers, they do work. But yeah, in terms of the virtual cockpit, you can see it's not maybe the same quality as some of the payware options, but it's pretty good. You can get some red light here. Oh, it doesn't work because it's not night, but this one works, so the kind of instrumental lighting. And then, yeah, I mean, you also have, I guess, the outside lights, nav, beacon, landing taxi lights, you have an autopilot, you even have this weird system, AIL or something like that. I'm not going to use it, it's a bit more modern, I'm not sure if these were outfitted with that system. And it is a pop-up, right? But if you want to use it, it's some sort of like, I'm not sure if I totally understood it, but it's like some, let me just check actually if I can open it, but it's some sort of ILS that's flown manually, something like that. There's a manual. Let me just open it here quickly so I can showcase it. And here you can see it. So you can set up the AILA from a specific distance, just like an airport and runway. And then you do some sort of handover to a precision approach wireless. Maybe it's an approach tool actually. But yeah, we're not using it, I'm just showcasing it in case you wanna try it out. Then you know, there's a nice manual, and you have the option here on the click spot here on set, and then you can remove it there. We're not going to use it today, we're flying ADF or NDB beacons and VR, and then we're going to do an ILS landing on runway 09 right, I think. Yeah, the weather looks fine for that. But okay, and let me see, I've actually tied now a prop, so I have a specific hardware control for the props, and they seem to work pretty well. Now I can't, of course, do specific ones, but I'm hoping we'll get no failures or similar. And let me bring my phone up, and I'm just quickly gonna check if my photo saved from yesterday. Library, yeah, I have here all the data. Gonna check my email also quickly here before I get going, see if there's anything nothing I missed. Good. And then what we'll do next is wait, I'm gonna put this up. So let's see. I'm gonna pause quickly. There we go. Okay, I have the picture. With the different approach, or sorry, not approach courses, but the different headings we're gonna be flying. Okay, so we have the info. Let's put on the battery as a first step. We have the nav. We don't need to have the beacon. I think we can turn ourselves from here without having to do any sort of, you know, pushback or similar, so it should be pretty straightforward. And then we'll go there and take off from 08, I think that's the runway. And there's another one here crossing as well, unless I'm mistaken. Let's have a look at the weather here though, so we don't do anything crazy. Yeah, looks fine with 0.8. Broken at 400 feet. Now that's something to think of. What's the weather at Tempelhof? Yeah, looks much better. So we're not... I'm just quickly gonna check here. Based on the ILS 409, right? For Tempelhof, we have a 407 decision height. So 250 feet above the ground. Well, we can actually put that in. We have a radio altimeter is 250 feet above the ground. We should see the airport or see the runway. I'm also gonna jump back and let me see. Oh, sorry, this is the I actually found this cool tool called the weather ship gauges, which adds kind of weather ships with beacons in the sea. So very nice if you want to fly cross-Atlantic flight, which I'm hoping to do at some point. Maybe something shorter, Bermuda, New York, or something like that. But at least it's possible to do it with these weather ships and with kind of all navigation, not using a GPS or similar. And it's pretty cool because you can add it to your Google Earth, and on my hardware iPad or Samsung tablet that I'm using, you can put it up, right? You can download Google Earth and then you'll be able to put in these and you can see them where they're located on the map. And I also got the windy app, so that's perfect to see kind of the weather. We can see that the wind is coming a bit from the north. It's no crazy winds though. Let's see, what else do we have? We have rain, thunder, a bit of rain, probably a bit between, it's south of the Hanover-Berlin axis, so that's fine. Cloud looks a bit clear around Berlin, but yeah, there's definitely an overcast over most of Germany. There's probably more layers, let me see. Low clouds, cloud base, visibility. Yeah, the visibility is awful here around Hanover. It's much better around Berlin. Yeah, a lot of Europe, all of Czech Republic is having pretty or really bad visibility actually. But okay, enough chatting. I'll show you quickly kind of the route we're flying. I put it in best I could, at least in a little map. First off, the NDB here, pretty close by. That's gonna be a fast one. Then we're flying on the course of 96 to this one, HL Zulu VR. Then we're flying to Tegel, and then we're flying to a another VR beacon here. We're gonna fly a bit, kind of halfway, and then we'll turn right in order to get down to 09 right. I think it's around 12 nautical miles, kind of an approach, or the length of the approach. So we'll have to fly away for a bit, and then we'll come back to land. Sorry, not Schönefeld, but here at Tempelhof. The VR isn't showing here because it's decommissioned, but it's still existing in the Prepar3d database I checked. So there's one with 11000. So something to keep in mind. That's why I'm saying this one can't really show you the full flight plan, but most of it at least gives you a visual cue. And I'm gonna actually remove it because we are really gonna try to fly just using the old systems. We're also going to go to fuel and payload. The only thing I'll change, I'll put in a bit less fuel. I don't think we need to be fueled up. This one doesn't fly very long routes though. It's a heavy transport aircraft or cargo aircraft, but it doesn't have a long range. So I think, or my thinking is that it's probably made to be kind of used for the British Army and then like Mediterranean and at kind of the end of the empire, right? Flying these short hops between different areas. Maybe Cyprus to the Suez or something like that. But yeah, I think that's it. Anything else I need to mention before we get going? Nothing specifically. Maybe the cockpit, just that this is somewhat akin to how it looked in real life. I tried to find some pictures, but you know, they had some different setups. So take this with a grain of salt. It's a bit dark, right, when you're flying. It will get better when we get the red light. I'll show you a bit more. There's some stuff here at the back, but nothing really that we should press. A lot of these buttons are tied into things like shutting down the engines, which we already have here. Here is, for example, the starters. It's more simplified, so this is more of an aircraft that you fly just to, you know, enjoy flying it. It has a nice flight model, and the stuff generally seems to work. But it's not the one where you're clicking a lot of buttons doing flight engineering ops. I think this one actually in real life had like a 6-man crew, so quite a lot of people to get it from point A to point B. The first thing we can do though is we can put in the ADF. Let me check though, do we have, yeah, we can have the avionics. The nav one I'm a bit, I guess it's red because we're not up in the air yet. But let's have a look at that. I have some faint feeling that at some point it didn't work, but could just be me misremembering that. So 358 is the ADF. It's going to be a course of 77. And then we'll kind of quickly, it's 4.4 nautical mile, so it's a very short hop. And we should see it. Actually, it is showing here. The problem is that we have the VR one also on the same, so I'm gonna tweak that. Let me just see, we're flying 77, so heading, we can put that to 77. The course, we're gonna fly a course of 96 after that, so we can put that in. We can also put in the VR, so that's 11.7.30, and then it's a 96 course. Good, but it's gonna take a bit of time before it kicks in, right? Because there's a bit of range till we get to it. It's like 46 nautical miles. I think the range at the altitudes we're gonna be at, because this is a non-pressurized aircraft, it's gonna be at around 40 nautical miles. We should have range to pick up the signal. But yeah, let's start the beacon actually. I can also show you this. This is the only kind of 2D panel thing you have. Good if you just want to start things and get them ready. You can put in chocks here, for example. For some reason it doesn't work. Maybe it's because I have the parking brake set, GPU and stuff like that. There's also a checklist, but it's very barren, so I'm not gonna, I mean the manuals, apart from that specific approach landing system, is very kind of thin. This one also mid full open, that's I mean 4 or 8 based on the outside when I looked. I think the cowls should be at 8 to be fully open. Could be wrong of course, but hopefully not. And let's see, we'll put, maybe we'll just use the spot view. I did set up some nice views. But yeah, I'm gonna move this away. I'll have it just to, because that's one of the annoying things with Manfred Jahn aircrafts. Not that much with the C47, because there you can actually use everything in the virtual cockpit, but with this one is that you have to control the cowl flaps through that. There is no, at least I haven't been able to find any setting for them here. So just something to keep in mind. And let me just put some random squawk code. Squawk number. But good. The starting process, also nothing spectacular. Props are fully up. Mixtures, we can keep them 100%. Maybe a bit of throttle, I guess. But, or idle. Maybe that's fine. I don't think it makes a difference. Basically what you do is just press there. And then it starts. You can see the tachometer going up. The sound effects are pretty good with this one. I'm not sure which one they use for those, but yeah, it's pretty nice. Maybe a bit too silent. on the interior, but let's see once we have started all of them. Let's do number 2. Yeah, now we're getting a bit more sounds in the cockpit. And then we can just do number 4. And then we'll do number 1. My guess is that they didn't taxi with all of the 4 ones. That would be my guess, just to save fuel. But I could be wrong. And usually, if I'm not mistaken, you taxi with the outboard ones. Well, you leave the inboard ones closed. We'll add a bit of takeoff trim for the elevators. Then we'll add add a tiny bit of flaps. 25% is the takeoff number. Then we'll check once again if the red, now it's working, right? So now you can see a bit, unfortunately not here in the back, but basically there's nothing to see. It's a dead end. I don't think they have simulated any sort of engineering. Maybe this is the engineering panel, or supposed to be. So something to keep in mind if you're really like a purist in that regard. And let's use this view. I don't think we'll use the red light, at least not yet. It's a bit too strong. You can put the taxi lights on. You can keep as is. We won't touch the autopilot either. Interesting though that changing to nav there changed the CRS or the course, which is supposed to be at 9.6. Okay. Let's change this one back to the spot view. Yeah, now it's the right one. And let's get going. We'll let me see some weird viewpoints. There we go. We'll release the parking brake, add a bit of thrust, and use the nose wheel steering. Yeah, it's quite sluggish. The taxiing is really well done with this one. It really feels like a heavy bird, and flies like one as well. You can see there's some dirt on the windscreen. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have any rain effects like the C47, so that one has the A2A rain effects. Not sure why he didn't incorporate it into this one. Potentially one could incorporate it, but yeah, something to keep in mind if you're really a big fan of that. In terms of the weather, altimeter is 298. Doesn't seem to change there. So yeah, I find that a bit strange actually, now that I don't think maybe it's broken actually. I'll have to have a look at that at some point. Yeah, the props, we can control them. We're gonna keep them at full for the takeoff, but then we'll pull them back to get a better RPM value at a later stage. So we're not overstressing the engines. Yeah, let me close that light. I'll need that. Oh, wrong yellow line. There we go. But yeah, it will be a pretty short flight, but it will take a bit longer though, since we're flying a prop aircraft. Not the fastest bird out there either, but it should be a relatively smooth flight, assuming nothing goes wrong. One thing is to make sure that you're ready with the brakes. It has a tendency to pick up quite a bit of speed on the taxiing, and then braking takes a bit longer with this bird. It has some really nice sound effects for the braking though. which I think is very historically but this is a one weird thing. Sometimes the back opens. I'm not sure why, but it just seems to happen from time to time. So something to keep an eye out. I think it's click spot related. So don't click in that direction when you're on the exterior view. We can put the landing lights on, and let's keep it closed. It will give us better visibility. Let's add a bit of thrust, get us lined up, and then we'll go. And it will be a quite quick succession. We'll aim for the beacon, the ADF, or use the ADF receiver, and then we'll quickly turn on to a new heading for the VOR. For the approach we should be at 4,000 feet, so it's gonna take a bit of time, well, it will take a bit of time of course to land once we're on approach, but we'll have to consider that we need to descend, of course, a bit earlier. I'm thinking before Tegel we descend to 4,000, then we keep that until we're lined up on final, and then we try to follow the ILS down. But that's assuming everything goes as planned. But then we need to make sure that we are about 12 nautical miles away from the ILS once we are at 4,000, and not that we're closer, right? Then we need to adjust for that. Some weird lights here on the runway. So yeah, as I said, this is an Orbex included airport with the Orbex Northern Germany package, so it's not the same kind of standard as normal payware, or you should see it as kind of like a freeware plus or freeware minus. Some freewares are better than the Orbex ones that are included with the payware package. So yeah, I guess technically it's a payware airport, but in the level of a freeware, very basic freeware. Okay, I think there's nothing else to do. We have the trim sets, everything else. The carb heat, I think you want to put that on, even though it's looking fine. But that's about it in terms of the switches you can use. So we'll just get going, we'll hand flight for a bit, and then hand over to the autopilot. Let's go. We're supposed to be at 2,800 RPM for the takeoff. So we're gonna push it up a bit. Let's see. There we go. And we can take off around 100 knots. That's usually or at least what I've noticed, when you can kind of start pitching a bit up, and then it will slowly get off the ground. There we go. So yeah, not the most graceful, but it worked. We can kind of quickly, we can keep, yeah, because we're already almost at the same heading they want to be. We can remove the flaps, that should give us a bit of speed. Yeah, now you can see kind of the visibility just going away completely. And we'll soon see the ADF also start kind of moving away, because we're gonna get above it very soon. We can also start to adjust the RPM. Something like this should be good. Okay, and let's see, we're still following the ADF, still looking good. And as you can see, we don't have retractable gears, so that's something to keep in mind. And now we can close the landing and taxi lights. And you can see it will become a bit darker. We can put a bit of light so you can see something. Okay, still following the ADF. Nothing to report in that regard. The nav flag went away, so I guess it just took for us to be up in the air for it to work. And we could see this one, it's almost aligned, and now we can see the ADF pointer starting to move, so it's time for us to start turning and start following the VOR. And I'll change the heading one as well to 9.6. And we'll go up to around 9,000 feet, I think should be sufficient. We'll need to trim a bit more though. I should have trimmed a bit earlier because we're close to overspeeding. And let's try to not overturn. Yeah, we can't see much of the aircraft here in the foggy weather. But yeah, we're now at around 3,000 feet, so we've been able to climb quite a bit. Let's see if we can find a good... We're gonna climb at around 1,000 feet per minute. So I did go a bit crazy with the trim, unfortunately. We should soon be picking up a bit of speed though, as we are coming down with the nose. And hopefully we'll soon get a DME read, otherwise what we'll have to do is just be prepared, right? Check basically here, right? To see if we're... Or I think this one will be better to see if we're flying above or not above, but from the VOR rather than to the VOR. Okay, good. And now, let's see. My hope was to get above the cloud layer, but I think we can. And I think this is a too modern autopilot. I doubt they had something this advanced. Could have had, of course, but yeah, I really doubt it. But we'll use it just to help ourselves a bit. And we can do the heading. That will automatically put on the autopilot, put on the altitude, and then we can put a pretty nice 800 feet per minute climb. Because otherwise we're pretty close to overspeeding. Once we're up in our cruise, we should go down to, I think it says here, 2,100. One thing we need to fix is the cowl flaps. I think I left them open, and we can close them quite a bit. I think keep them on level 2 for now. And let's see. I think it's going correct now. Question is if we put the nav. I think that's GPS related though. I don't think we have like a VR one. We can try, of course, doesn't hurt. Not seeing any changes, so it could be that it's now actually following the course we set. Nothing on the DME though. No, there we go. We just need to put it on. So yeah, we can see the DME. So we'll know when we have to turn, around 40 nautical miles. And then we have our longest, well, I guess our longest, I would say in-between waypoint route. And that's from the next VOR to the Tegel one, and that's around 92 nautical miles. Oh, let's close that one. Let's see if we close the... I like the red light a bit. Maybe we can do something that also looks cool, of course. Something like this, maybe. But yeah, we're climbing now. We're almost at 6,000 feet. We still haven't gotten out of the cloud layer, so it could be quite a deep one. But let's see. I find that usually during the winter they're not that, I would say, tall, the cloud layers. But they're just usually like an overcast, but it's quite close to the ground. Okay, 3,000. Oh, sorry, 6,000. One thing we can do is, let me see, the next one is 112.3 at 80, or a course of 80. So just keep that in mind. We're at 6,000, we want to be at 8,000. We can tweak a bit our ascent rate. And now we're kind of getting above the cloud layers. And one of the reasons why I decided to do a night flight with this one is because it looked really cool. Let me show you. When I was trying this aircraft out, it actually has pretty good night lights, dynamic ones. Well, I think they're dynamic. I'm actually not 100% sure because they didn't light up during the day, so might not be, but they look pretty good. Okay, and we're continuing to climb slowly and steadily. Still around 30 nautical miles until we have to turn. Let me see, actually we should change our course, maybe a tiny, or is it? Yeah, it's 9.5, it should be 9.6. Let's tweak that. Looks like the nav one works, so that's great news. Let's see how it corrects for that. Pretty okay. Not too bad. How's the speed? Still looking okay. And we have ample time before our next waypoint. Let's shut these while they're still light enough out there. I guess this red light comes from this on top. And I guess that makes sense, right? If it's... oh, yeah. That's why you don't press. We don't want to open the cargo compartment unnecessarily. Okay, we're almost at 8,000. Are we picking up a bit of speed? Maybe we can climb faster then. It's 1,000 to go, give or take. Or is it, should we be at 8? What's the, let me see. So flying west should be an even number, 1,000 foot plus 500 feet. Eastbound flights, oh that's for visual, oh this is AI. Ugh, good times. I think it's east that you're doing the even ones, right? Could be wrong though. Okay, we're almost at where we want to be, so I'm gonna bring it down. There we go. And we'll also bring the prop down a bit. We're not climbing anymore. Sorry, we'll bring it. I think this should be good. We have 22 nautical miles to go. We're on a pretty good altitude. We can't see too much. Let me see how it would look if we changed the live graphics. We can change maybe the brightness a bit just to not too much of a difference in how it looks. More bloom, saturation, that's always gonna make a huge impact. I mean, if we go for less saturation, yeah, then we get this old school flying, you know, no colors. Funnily enough, I guess, you know, if you don't like kind of the yellow, then it's better to go with a lower saturation. I have the auto exposure on because it does make it a bit more realistic when you're flying, even though it has some weird effects. It's a bit of a hit and miss, unfortunately. Let me actually open up. Was there anything else interesting that, or new developments? I don't think so. Not within P3D at least. Wait, I'm gonna check my my Discord. Nothing interesting there. Let me close my Discord so it doesn't take any FPS unnecessarily. Let's see, 16 nautical miles before our turn. We'll start descending about halfway. Nah, not halfway. Might be 2/3 of the way to Tegel. We can start descending to 4,000. Should be pretty quick. What else can we do whilst we wait? There's not that many systems to monitor. One of the, I guess, benefits, but also downsides with these freeware aircrafts. I don't think it has any failures or similar, right? So it does make it easier. Okay, almost at 10 nautical miles. So we're getting there slow and steady. In terms of Temple, actually the scenery I'm using is from Simmer's Home. They have a really good package for that, freeware one. I'm just going to show here on my owned airport, and it also includes this small airport here, Gatov, which I think the UK used. Seems to be some aircraft here, some probably like a museum, because it looks like the runway has been cut short. Yeah, it must be a museum, this one's right. I mean, you're not landing anything on that half runway. One of the interesting things, they used to have 3 airports right in Berlin. Tegel, Tempelhof, very closely located to the center, but now they're funneling everything here to the old Schönefeld one, which I guess is this one. So this is the Schönefeld, and this is the new Berlin Brandenburg, which interestingly enough isn't that big. I guess there's room for expansion though if you need, so that's the benefit, but yeah, I guess that's about it in terms of benefiting stuff. Let's see, we'll go back to using heading mode, because we're gonna switch soon. We're going to 1112.3. That's 96 nautical miles away, and we're gonna fly a heading of 80 for that one, so we're gonna put that in to their course. So 80, so we can soon enough actually switch over to the nav mode from heading. Let me just see if we can do that. Oh yeah, actually we can do that already. Let's just see that we have everything. 1112.3 course of 80 seems to be set. The heading we can also change to 80. Fuel is looking good. I think you can do some fuel changes here. Auxiliary and the main ones. We're now using the auxiliary on all of them, so let's just be prepared to change to the main ones. The fuel pressure is a bit high though. Does that have anything? Doesn't seem to be related to... I'm thinking if it could be the mixture, right? Would that have an impact on the fuel pressure? Perhaps? Let me actually check. Does a leaner mixture affect fuel pressure? And that's determined by fuel pump and regulator, not the air-fuel ratio. Okay. A lean mixture can cause the engine to run hotter. Also good to know. But okay, let's keep a bit of a leaner one anyway. Don't have to do full auto reach. Doesn't seem to have affected anything here. But yeah, let's actually put in now the red light again. This is becoming a bit darker. And I think what we can do... Yeah, look at that. That looks pretty cool with the red lights. What we can do now is maybe leave you guys with this boring view. I mean, it's gonna be nighttime anyway, and then I'll be back in about 50 nautical miles, 60 nautical miles, just to do the landing, or not the landing, but the approach and landing. So yeah, see you in a jiffy. Okay, let's see. We are 40 nautical miles now away from the Tegel VR. What does that mean? That means that we need to start descending so that we don't fall totally behind. We're following the VR, so that's good. And let me just put on my tablet so we can just have a quick look. One way to do the approach actually is to follow the outbound route from Lovenberg. That could be a way to do it. Question is this VR still in use? I don't want to check little nav map because then it's gonna give it away. God damn it. But I kind of have to. So I'm just quickly gonna start a little nav map. I just want to check if this one VR thing is here. And oh, I didn't look where we are, but I think we are on track. If we're not, so be it. Okay, so we're following the Tegel one, I hope. And the question now is there another... Ah, there is actually. The Lovenberg VR, so that's good. What we'll do is should we use that? What are you then doing? You're then doing a course of 135 to get onto the one. Now we're gonna overcomplicate it, I think. I have my plan, let's stick to it, even though it's not perfect. We can start descending. 1000 feet per minute should be good enough. We'll throttle down a bit. Should be okay. Let's remember the mixtures, etc. See if we can see anything here on the outside. It's really dark now. Let's remember to be ready to turn. We just want to turn in the direction of it, and then we're gonna start. I think quite quickly start turning away from it to the right. So I think we'll turn towards Tempelhof and then we'll turn towards the west. I'm gonna close little nav map again because we don't wanna cheat, which I guess we technically already did. What we need though is a let me see, is the information for the next VR. So I'm gonna bring up the photo, and that one is the 11000 136 course, 6.7 nautical mile. What we can do, just to see that it works, is actually maybe we can go. We'll go. Oh, now we are almost over speeding. So what I'll do is try and bring down. I think the key is also that we're descending a bit too quickly. But yeah, let's go to the heading mode, and then what we will do is check if we can actually find that VR. Does it exist? It does. And we can see it's a bit to the right. So that is actually good news. And I'm actually thinking of that. Wouldn't it be easiest to go straight to it? I mean, let's descend to to how many feet we need to be at. 4,000, right? I mean, maybe we're descending a bit too slowly for that to work. But we could try, right? It's 8-6 cores. So let me see, actually, if I put that in. Sorry, 8-6. We're not too far away from that. But we would have to start turning quite a bit in order to get onto the course. But it should eventually be there for us and ready. And I think we'll be down at 4,000 actually on time. So this will actually speed up this flight quite a bit. So I'm not gonna say no to that. I'll put on the landing lights. I'll skip the taxi ones because I think they will basically, and look at that, we can see some of the ground here through all the nasty weather. But if we put the taxi lights, yeah, we won't be able to see anything. I think we want to keep it quite dark, so no red light. The problem with the red light is we're not going to be able to see through the windscreen, which we want to avoid. One thing we can do is, let me see, this is the throttle controls. We can put the mixture to 100%, I think. Then we just need to be prepped with the props. I don't know, I'm gonna assume with full flaps, maybe around 80 knots, maybe a bit slower, should be sufficient. And there we can see we're already getting onto the right course, so that's good. And we're almost at 4,000. The question I have is, what's the altimeter though? It's 298. Okay, 298. I think we've been on 298 for most of the flight anyway, so should be fine. We'll have to turn a bit to the right. I think what we can do, we still have 20 nautical miles, is we can actually activate the... Yeah, we have an approach one, but let's not do that one. Okay, that seems to have led to a slight... we are descending way too steeply, and that's the problem there, is because I activated the approach one. Yeah, we wanna stay on 4,000. We're almost a bit too low, but it should be fine for the time being at least. 4,200. We can read this as well by seeing, you know, the big needle here. That's the thousands. This is the 100s, and these are the... Not sure if it works actually, but it's supposed to be the 1 feet. Okay, we're getting a bit of stuttering, so that's a bit annoying. I'm not surprised though. Usually we get this around Berlin. We're still quite a bit away from the glide slope. The thing I'm wondering about though is, could we go back to using the heading mode? So we'll use the heading mode, and then we'll set up for the ILS. So 109.7, we'll change it here. There we go. On 109.7 for the ILS. And let me see, we want to be flying a course of 86. So that actually worries me a bit. It's saying we're quite far away, and actually I'm gonna pause quickly here, cheat a bit. The thing I'm worried about, and I know, is this airport. Yeah, look at that one. 'Cause it has the exact same one. So there is a risk, because we're pretty good almost on the Temple of One. We're a bit off, but it could be that it's getting that one. I'm a bit worried about that. So let me just check the airport here. 109.75. You see, that's why we're double checking this, because it differs from the info we have. So there we go, 109.75. Let's get that turn, and hopefully we can get back on the DME. I'll bring down the RPMs a bit more. I'm a bit worried. Let's see. I think it's moving now though, so that's good news. We can see the glide slope as well. So it should be fine. Maybe if we turn a bit more. It should be around 12 nautical miles. And I'm gonna turn that down again. We didn't want to have that on. I think I pressed it by mistake, or pressed it by mistake. Almost 12 now. I need this to go on. So there we go, approach. And let's see if it captures it. It's always a bit tricky with these. I can start adding some flaps. That should slow us down. I'm not sure if there's any restrictions on that. I couldn't find it, right? I mean, of course I could have found a manual, but I'm gonna assume there's some restriction, but possibly at these low speeds it should be fine. But you know, not 100% certain, of course. Okay, we're following now the approach. We are on the localizer. We are descending. We're going to flaps full. I'm gonna bring down, now we're in the red though with the boost. Actually, that information might have been available in the checklist. Let me check if I can quickly find the checklist. Yes, the boost should be at 14 plus on takeoff, 10 plus on climb, and then on approach nothing being said. Mixture should be on 100%, which makes sense. Well, we need to slow down, that's for sure. Okay, I'm gonna add some RPM. Okay, we are slowing down. Yeah, okay, there is actually some of the airspeed. So flaps 25, you can do with an airspeed above, or is it below 135, and then 125, that's when you go lower. Okay, so I did go a bit too quickly with the flaps. We should have been flying a bit slower. Let me actually see, because I feel like the RPMs, we need to keep them in the green. I don't see any reason why we wanna risk it by going higher. And is this manifold? Can we keep it? Can it like actually fly with this? I'm just afraid that we're kind of choking our engines. But okay, looking good. We can see the runway there. Some nice night lighting here as well. Considering that we can see it and the weather is actually much better than I thought. Let's do this manually. That's always gonna be more fun. Let's see, we'll trim a bit. We're a bit below the glide slope. We'll soon get to the minimums, but not quite. The night lights look pretty good, maybe a bit too yellow. I mean, this is kind of how the night lights looked before LED, so that's something I maybe should consider tweaking, but maybe it makes sense with this old bird flying to Tempelhof, you know, having some old proper light bulbs. Okay, let's see, we're at 100. I'm gonna add a bit more throttle. Ooh. The localizer part we are a bit off on, and now we're a bit high as well. Anything else we need to consider? No, nothing I can think of. I think it's fine. We need to descend though. We're getting high on the approach. That's not good. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's looking good otherwise though. Okay. About 2-3 nautical miles. Yeah, let's try to maintain. I think the vertical profile is looking okay. Now about the lateral one, maybe not as good. Unfortunately, I don't have the classic AI. I should have activated that package. It's a bit broken though in some cases, but it could have been cool to see, you know, these trees, etc. here at Tempelhof. I think it was because I found that classic AI package that I got this airport as well. I thought it would be fun to fly to this with classic AI. The only negative with or with kind of classic airports that most of them are located, you know, it's at the same place as the new ones, right? You don't want to replace those. Tempelhof works perfect in that sense, right? Since it's not really in use. I do even wonder if FSX had a payware for Tempelhof, for the modern one. I think this is like an old school version of it. Actually not 100% certain, to be honest. Okay, seems like we're a bit high. Should be fine though. Well, let's try to get down. We did get the minimums. Come on. I'm kicking in a bit of rudder. Maybe a bit too much. Okay, we got down. Okay, let's see. Luckily we're a big fat bird, so we can stop really quickly. Not the best night lighting here though. That must be the main terminal, right? Okay. Yeah, look at that. Looks pretty cool with the night lights. Let's put on the taxi lights, even though it will fly it from, or taxi it from here. I think maybe there's a route here, potentially. Let me have a look if I can find any. No, I don't have a I unfortunately don't have a ground map of Tempelhof. But I think it should be fine to taxi here and then to the left. That can't be wrong, right? If I close the landing ones, that's the weird part. The landing ones, it's the taxi ones that are totally unreasonable. Let's use the landing ones. It's nicer to taxi with them. Okay, let's see, that one is closed, so we'll have to, I think, taxi here. And this one, E, looks like a taxiway. But yeah, very cool actually. This is the first time I'm landing at Tempelhof within any sim actually. I didn't even do it in FSX. Very iconic airport, a lot of history, and I'm actually wondering how old is it? And I guess like most things in Germany it has some some sort of bad rep for some reason. Let's see. Mainly thinking in terms of Nazism, right? Specifically these kind of huge buildings, right? Some of them have a bad rep because of that, unfortunately. In terms of unfortunately for the building's sake. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. The Nazi government began a enormous reconstructuring. It's cited as the world's oldest operating commercial airport. Oh, and it's no longer an issue though, since it's been closed. And what else airports did they... Oh, London Croydon Airport and Paris-Le Bourget Airport. Okay, so that's interesting. Maybe those are the ones I should get, you know, some of the closed ones that were quite iconic. Let's see, let's get these flaps out of the way. That's probably what's slowing us down a bit. Okay. Are we going in the right direction? I hope so. Let me check these other ones. Croydon and Paris. So it's still open actually, the Paris-Le Bourget airport. Only used for general aviation and business jets. Croydon, it was closed in 1959. Oh, but it was a lack of land. It's also located in kind of in the middle of everything, so I guess that was a negative. I need to check though if there's any freeware versions available for those. And let's see, Tempelhof. But yeah, I'm actually not certain. Is this Tempelhof kind of like the old Tempelhof? I think this is the old one, and I guess not much has changed, but I need to check if there's like a newer version available. It would be fun to have that on standby as well if you want to fly, let's say a Ryanair or something of that sort into this airport. But yeah, look at it, Berlin Tempelhof. Ah, maybe it actually looks a bit modern. There's some of those baggage, not loaders, but the little cars that have that drive the luggage. Now let's see, maybe there is actually some PBR, or not PBR, but dynamic lighting here. Maybe we can turn here, maybe. Let's see where this takes us. Okay, yeah. And then maybe we can park here on 20, and then we can watch the replay and shut... Oh no, sorry, we can't park there because that's on the opposite direction. But we can park a bit further forward. Let's see. Oh, actually the ground is a bit different. We can see how we're not taxiing as smooth anymore. Interesting though. So I guess it does have a difference in terms of friction, right? I'm gonna assume there's a friction value in the aircraft config file, or I guess different kind of ground layers, runway, etc. They have different friction levels assigned to them. Could be something like that, right? Let me close the landing light for now. We'll put it on though, just to see the landing properly. Okay, let's go here. And I do wonder if this aircraft actually, or this aircraft type actually ever visited Tempelhof. Potentially, right? I mean, even after a Berlin airlift, there would probably been reasons to funnel things in with an aircraft. Okay, P10. Let's get parked here, and I guess technically this is a cargo one, we shouldn't really park here, but yeah, I don't think there's anyone else here anyway. So not like we're taking up a spot unnecessarily. But yeah, a bit of a shame that they closed this one. Would have been a cool airport to fly into. At least I was able to fly into Tegel before that one as well closed, and now we only have the Brandenburg one. Quite a bit more boring, unfortunately. Come on. Come on, bird. We need a lot of thrust to move on this ground. Oh, I guess we got the wrong. There we go. Now we have them. It's weird in P3D how they can kind of disappear, you know, the markings. And let's stop everything. There we go. Let's put. Maybe we'll look cooler with all of the lights on. And then what we'll do quickly is watch the replay and close the shop for the day. Let's see, we have to go back quite a bit, right? Okay, that's good. The flaps are showing and the lights as well. The only thing, or kind of my impression flying in the night and seeing the buildings, is that the buildings they don't look as good during the night for some reason. You kind of, they look more, you get a more cartoonish look compared to during the day, where I think P3D looks more, and sometimes even rivals Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 in terms of kind of the good look from a bit further away. But yeah, very beautiful city of Berlin. Okay, let's see here. We're coming down. I didn't deploy any spoilers, but I don't think this one has any spoilers. I doubt it needs that. I mean, if you use the rudder to get the airflow in a different way, I'm pretty sure you could use the body as a kind of spoiler. Yeah, we used the wrong rudder. That was a bit my impression. I should have kicked in right rudder. I mean, we got down and it was okay, but yeah, look at this. Yeah, we even got some effects from the wings there. Because we were so kind of non-aligned with the runway heading. But oh well, we managed to land. Good enough. Got to do a flight with this aircraft. I'll probably feature it in the future. Probably not the one I'll fly most often though. Mainly because of, you know, there's much more high quality and complex classical airlines for P3D. But let's see, you never know. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, or any suggestions for next type of flight. I do kind of like all sort of suggestions and all different types of flights. So keep it coming in that case. But yeah, any comment, etc. is appreciated. But yeah, with that said, thank you for watching, and bye bye.